Hi, everybody. Welcome you to another episode of Tech After Work. And I have one of my favorite people here from Sweden, Kujtim, an entrepreneur, investor, a business leader who has really turned around a lot of businesses. I met Kujtim in 2020 when he was a CEO of BRP Systems, and I went in and pitched. And then he was the big boss at that time. And from that time onwards, Kujtim has become a great friend and a mentor, and then we talk about a lot of amazing stuff and interesting stuff. So I'm so happy that I'm putting you on the spot in front of cameras so that we can let others hear what we talk.
Great also to be on the spot with you, Alagan.
Yeah. What keeps you going?
That's of course a very deep question.
But, I like it.
But in the end, as you know, we are recording this in my home. So I think what's becoming important with years, it's actually to leave a legacy for the kids and the family. As you see, I have 2 sons and a beautiful wife. So to create something that I'm really proud of, and to actually have a legacy of success for my family,
right,
for people that has worked for me, for society. I would say to have an impact on the legacy. That's kind of what takes me on these days.
Right.
It was a bit different when I was younger. So
how has it changed?
I think it's quite obvious in the beginning. It's kind of the numbers, results that counts. Now it's important for me that it's value driven. It's the same speed. It's the same commitment. It's the same drive. But I think the intrinsic kind of motivation has really changed.
When you were small, like young, like in school and in college, did you know that you wanted to become what you are now?
No.
What did you think?
I wanted to be first a fighter pilot and then a doctor, and I ended up being a business person. So that's a really different path.
What was your tipping point into becoming like business focused?
It just happened. It came to me rather than me chasing it, actually.
Right. You did a lot of work in sales originally, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you moved into like overall leadership.
Yeah, so the management and then eventually general management and entrepreneurship.
I know you're a really good salesperson. When you started, were you this good? Or?
Of course I was not. No.
You were not. But you were attracted to sales.
Yeah.
Why?
It's eventually where the growth comes from. And it's very tough to be a good salesperson, a sales leader. It's either you are successful or not. So it's extremely challenging to be a top person, and yeah.
And I think in like you were doing sales for like 10 years, and you grew all the way to sales director at IFS, right? Something.
Correctly, something in
something
that.
My memory is correct, at least. When you grow up as a leader, then that means you also teach a lot of people to do sales.
Yeah.
Right. And that's very different from doing sales.
Absolutely, and it's the same in all different domains.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. Interesting. Do you so now how do you identify now? Are you like what's the biggest value you think you're adding to the world and to the business? Because you do a lot of things, right? I mean, it's just very hard to say that this is what Kujtim does. Like you do so many things. Right?
I'm kind of at the moment, I think I'm extremely busy with creating great things, not only delivering now, but also thinking like 5 to 10 years from now. So I'm really focusing on the most basic things to set up a good organization with sound processes, sound structures, and eventually great culture. Because I know that if you put if you put great foundations in place, and all the business will keep running independently for years to come.
What do you mean by foundation? Like if somebody, let's say a new business owner is looking at this, what foundation do you want them to
I think if you look at the company,
Yeah.
it's about obviously having the right people on board to make sure that there is right processes and structure, so that it's a well-functioning company. To make it independent of management and board, actually.
Okay.
So self-driving organizations, I would like to say that's putting the basics in place for organization to grow and prosper.
Okay. Great. Right now you're leading Woshapp, which is a fantastic company with a big goal, focusing on car care with more environmental friendly. You guys do like car service, car wash even without water.
That's correct.
How?
It's quite easy.
Okay.
It's we have our own nano formula. It's a liquid. So we basically spray that on the car.
Okay.
And dry it off. So
and that takes off all dirt, oil, everything.
Yes. So it's a service that's delivered on the spot where the car or service van is parked. So you never have to move it. You don't have to spend 250 liters of water. You don't have to drive to the gas station. So you save both environment, transportation, your time, and you can work where somebody else is taking care of the car care.
Where do you want to go with this business? Like, what's the eventual goal?
The eventual goal is, of course, to make it a global brand. At the moment, we are in the Nordics. We entered 2 new markets this year. So obviously, we need to grow more in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and eventually Finland, and then in the next steps in Europe, and finally going global. So I have no doubt that we are trailblazing a new market. So nobody will accept to take the car and go to a gas station and waste time in the future and waste environments, resources, and so forth. So I have no doubt that in 10 years' time, Woshapp will be one of the brands that actually changed and shaped new markets, eco-friendly car care. So it's a nice vision.
It's nice, and the amount of water that you're going to save. I mean, of course, with the manpower and everything, but the amount of water and the natural resources that would save is something that the world needs.
It's and I mean, in Sweden we are still blessed with having no problems with water, but yet if you look at the urbanization, it's like in 2050, I think it's more than 80% of the population will live in the large cities. So, and in this summer we actually had problems with water even in Stockholm.
Right.
So we are coming to the edge of how far we can push the boundaries of nature.
Do you think people understand that water can become, a big scarcity in the future?
Not in Sweden.
Okay.
Not yet, but it will come. If some people might recall, it's in the agtech sector in 2018. That was a huge. We had a really warm summer, and it cost the agriculture sector several billions.
Right.
So because there was no water, obviously, for
This was in 2018.
2018, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And we really had also a hot summer this summer, in June at least, not later. But it will come eventually. To change people's perceptions when you have a new innovation, it takes time. But we are also one of the first to trailblaze that, and eventually that will take off.
And is there something? I'm sure there is something very unique about the nano formula that you use, right?
Yeah.
What has enabled, and how did you guys do that?
How do you mean, did we do it?
How did you bring up some nano formula that really?
It was the guys testing it.
Okay.
So
it's
was,
all trial and error.
It was a trial and
okay.
error. Yeah. So it's really nothing less. It's nothing magic about it. It's hard work.
Okay. Great. And environmental friendly, making the work easy, cleaning easy, and also bringing in environmental friendly fast solution. That's a big part of Woshapp. But also you have built a big network and infrastructure of business to business services to a lot of things, right?
Yeah. Look, Woshapp is a tech company. At the foundation is a huge software platform.
Yeah.
We have an app for our customers, and we have an app for our staff.
Right.
And we also have an innovative formula where we have our own liquid and so forth, but we also have our own towels.
Right.
But those are technology and methodology and how you kind of take care of the car. So and we work with large customers. So we focus on business to business at this stage. I think in 5 years' time we will also focus on consumers, but at this moment in time we will just focus on large businesses, and
Right.
it's where there we think we can do the most
because
significant impact to start with.
Yeah, because you get to do in bulk as well, right? If a business orders, yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. You do have investments in many other companies, right?
Yeah.
And is there anything that you're passionate about that drives you in any of those companies?
I think that I invest in tech. That's kind of I started in tech, so it's quite natural for me.
What did you study, by the way?
I studied mechanical engineering.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so the idea was that since I can't fly airplanes, I should build airplanes. But
Okay.
then it kind of turned it on that the Autodesk and this kind of software sitting engineering, it was really not my.
Did you try doing a job in that field?
No,
Or-
I figured out early in the studies that that was not my.
Yeah.
But I'm a mechanical engineer by training.
Great. And any of the other companies that you have invested in that you would like to?
Yeah, and but I also I like, so I invested in tech, but I also invested my time and capital in health and environment. So that's kind of where I try to
Right.
to be in place.
Great. Other than work, what else do you do?
Work. Yeah.
Last week we had a call at 4 a.m. in the morning, right?
Yeah.
I woke up and I didn't expect. I mean, I knew you were gonna be up, but yeah, we just had a call. Crazy.
Yeah.
How many hours do you work usually?
Now it's actually a lot. It's a hectic period in my life. So many nice things happening.
Yeah.
But there's also, of course, outside of work, I like to read. That's kind of my passionate thing. Of course, I'm trying to spend as much time with my family as I can. And in these days, I really like my Friday and Saturday dinners with the family. That's kind of my non-negotiables in life.
Nice.
And I try to get some rest over the weekends. But over that, we live a very active life with kids going to different activities.
Yeah.
My wife also having a career, so it's busy days.
I can imagine. You work a lot, but you really enjoy that work, right? You're one of the very few people I've seen who would happily work 16 hours in a day and not complain about it and still get up early in the morning, right?
But I don't think it's quite unique, but I don't think it's unique at all, because I mean, if you find your sweet spot, then it makes no difference. It's the same with you, Alagan. When work kind of gets hobby, then it's no problem. If it would not been that way, you would have been off the charts long way back.
Exactly. A lot of people ask me, like, are you crazy to do 18 hours a day?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like 18 hours because it's just fun, right? What we do.
And it's the same person that spent 8 hours on TikTok. So it's like,
Yeah.
that would probably kill you off.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Okay, back to organizations, right? That day at Rootcode Connect, you brought up a very interesting point in the panel discussion that I actually wanted to talk to you about. You told a very interesting thing about why leaders have to be not afraid of doing the right thing, even if it looks difficult in short term, like sometimes letting go of the wrong people, right?
Yeah.
What's your advice to business leaders? Because that's one of the toughest thing people do. It's really tough to take decisions when it comes to people, but also like all of us know that okay, this is what it is and you have to deal with it. But what's your advice to people and business leaders?
I think in leadership, at least when you have the CEO role, you are extremely alone. So you have to have a certain level of courage, and if you want to grow, it's eventually you have to have the right people on board. And what's right people today, it's not necessarily the right people in 2 or 3 years time. And every time the company grows and evolves, maybe not everybody is in the right place. So you have to renovate. You have to renovate at board level, at CEO level, at senior management and middle management, and all the way to the different staff. And of course, finding the right people and put in the right position is yeah, I mean that's the key role of a leader. And some people need to develop, and some people might not fix it. So it's a cost to be made.
Yeah.
The advice is quite simple. You have to start with yourself and look back in the past 12 months. How many great people did I create, hire, or uplift? How many of the top persons in my company did make impact? If it's the same people like 24 or 36 months ago, then you have big problems. So it's probably that you as a CEO or board that should change if you want to grow. Of course, you can keep a steady level of business without making big shots, but eventually you will run into problems. And in the world I'm investing in and I work in, we are looking about triple growth. So
Wow.
so that takes something special about finding, motivating, inspiring, and co-creating with the right people.
Okay. But where do you find the courage? Because I've seen a lot of leaders who are really struggling with the courage to because maybe you have figured everything out, but at least something that I generally feel is when it comes to very, very tough, critical decisions, it has gotten better over time, but when it's really critical and you haven't faced that problem before, it also scares you. Like, what if you are wrong?
Of course, I'm not afraid of taking decisions, but I have respect for decisions. That's different things. But if you start thinking as a leader that you can fail and plan to fail and try to avoid risks, then you will have bigger problems. Because by not doing anything, that's even a more important risk that can eventually kill off the companies. And I see a lot of companies growing a lot, and they change leaders. There are new positions, they have new boards. They can ride on the past failures and successes of previous leaders, but eventually the reality will come there. And as a leader, you have a very important role to do great things now, but also to start new things so that you in future don't end up missing opportunities. So and that's kind of the most important thing of a leader, to make sure that the company continues to develop, and without having again a solid foundation. And if you don't have the right team, you will probably not even get the right ideas, and you will not be comfortable, and maybe you will also avoid taking risks. So I think that you should find the courage in the confidence that you are building great things, and to have the right guys and people around you, then it will fly.
Great. And it does get easier over time, I think, because I've seen that.
Absolutely. That's a good thing.
Because I think, at least for me, um, you gather templates over time, right? You know, like certain things. Um, and failing is okay as long as you know, kind of learn from it
Absolutely.
and get up. I think that has really served us. Kind of fail fast, fail early, and be strong in the decision making as well, right? If you take if you take somebody who is just starting a company now, and they seem to have a really good idea that can
Yeah.
uh, they believe that that can serve well. What are the things they should first look for? What should they do as a young founder? What are the things they need to be careful about?
I think they should find the right team.
Team people. That's the first thing.
Yes.
How about finding product market fit?
That will come.
Really?
I mean, of course, there are lots of people that have brilliant ideas. And eventually there will come some unique ideas, but I think the really unique ideas will come out of research and so forth. But eventually it's about finding the right team and the right context to execute.
Right.
Because the really big ideas will be somebody that got the Nobel Prize around. It will be research based. But innovation driven business is about taking an idea to success. And of course you can get very far with product fit and these kind of things. But I think what really makes a difference in the long run, finding the right, because I mean, large successes and failures, they are always about great people did great things. Success, maybe not so great people, and failure.
Yeah.
So in the long run, if you want to create something great or big or both, it's about actually find the guys.
When you say good people, what do you mean?
I mean, for a startup founder, I mean, first of all, of course, I think you should be in. I mean, they should ideally be different and all these kind of things. We don't have to go in like in long discussion about that, but I think it's important that they have share their common values.
Right.
So and then they can be different. They can have different competences. But in a startup world, it requires a lot of grit. It requires a lot of hard work, and these days people have been a very bit doped because the financial environment has been so good in like almost
For
10
a long
years.
time, yeah.
So people believe that it's money or for free. And somehow they were so the startup world has been extremely spoiled. So there have been lots of capital actually wasted on lots of stupidities. And that's why lots of companies actually also die in this downturn, which is good because the money will go to the companies that actually deserve it.
It was crazy that you don't need to really make profit, but somebody will come and keep investing.
And I also invest in lots of companies, but these days when I hear the word pitch, I must admit that it kind of sickens me a lot because persons that were good at rhetorics, communication, as opposed to guys that really had a good idea. Lots of people took a lot of capital and lots of investment to lots of capital, and somehow capitalism was out of play because interest rates were so low, the money were free, and the money were wasted. But now we are seeing a healthy rebalancing. So unfortunately, lots of companies will die. But also lots of companies will prosper because they need to focus on the right things.
And the conventional wisdom of running a business comes back to like you need to make profit, you need to make revenue, be positive cash flow.
Exactly. So there is nobody paying $2 for you to earn $1 anymore. It should be the other way around.
But it's kind of a general cycle, right? I mean, because when the markets do really good, interest rates go down, and then
absolutely
too much of cash flow in. But I also think, I mean, sadly, a lot of companies are gonna die and are dying, but it's kind of weeding out the companies that were not in healthy financial shape to some
Absolutely.
extent. Yeah.
And of course, that will also stop investors and new persons trying to start companies. But I think if you look back at this period, it has been good because in Sweden, at least, there have been many companies that have started. Now it's, 30, 40 years ago, if you went to a business school, everybody wanted to work at the large companies.
Yeah.
In the 90s, everybody wanted to work with McKinsey and all these kind of fancy companies.
Yeah.
And now people have the vision to start a company, they're running their own business. And I think it's extremely good. So that part of this, period of 10, 15 last years, it's something that we should keep.
What do you think Sweden should, as a country, should focus on in terms of business, products, or anything in the next few decades? Where do you see the strength as a country?
I think Sweden has been focusing a lot on sustainability. I mean, we are good at manufacturing steel.
Yeah.
We are good at the outdoor industry. So I think being at the forefront of sustainable businesses is what Sweden should focus on. Should focus on more of making those lots of companies at the start in the past 20 years to grow. Sweden is a country where international globalization has come naturally.
Yeah.
So I think Sweden has a huge potential also in the future. But in terms of domain, I think sustainability, we need to be better at using our large environment. We have lots of woods,
Land.
lots of water, lots of land.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. That's something that baffles me. It's massive for the number of people that you have here.
But Sweden has also unfortunately failed to kind of take care of the lots of people that came here. So we need to integrate them better in the society.
Yeah.
So that's a big task ahead for a generation to come. And when that kind of comes into full integration, it will also boost Sweden to next gear as well.
Do you have any advice on what, as a country, we can do to integrate the people better?
Yes. Put them into work.
Okay.
It's as simple as it gets. People need to get to work. It needs to be incentivized on work. And it doesn't matter if it's a Swede or someone that came here.
Yeah.
The incentives to work and do a great job should be greater. And everybody needs to speak the local language correctly. Because it's a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
If me and you cannot communicate, then we are doomed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So it's as simple as it gets. And also to wake up from the past experiences when like 30, 40 years ago, the people that immigrated to Sweden maybe come from Europe. Now they come from an entire different world. So it's a more challenging integration landscape.
Absolutely, because the gap is very, very high. The difference.
That will create a huge positive effect.
Absolutely,
when it's kind of been taken care of.
Because I think almost everywhere the population increase, natural population increase, is not as much as it used to be, right? So if you look at another 100 years, I don't think we'll have enough people from our own countries because the childbirth, I think, is not matching the people who are going away.
And it's again, put people to work.
Yeah.
That drive their development. It creates a better society for everybody. It's as simple as it gets.
Great.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sweden historically has, created a lot of products, right? When it comes to tech. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think from the world, we look at Sweden as a place for really great product engineering because of some great examples that has come out, right? Is there something to do with the education system, or is it the culture? Is it the history? What's your take?
I think Sweden, first of all, it has been a stable country for many years.
For a long time.
Yeah, it has grown, but not so much. But I think it's 2% or something every year. So it's small, incremental, and in the foundation, it's a culture where basically people keep the promise. They go to work on time. It's like the basics are in place, and the foundation was set with a very good educational system. And also there are some big companies and some big families that made investments in different businesses. So I think there were some entrepreneurial families that also took a huge responsibility for Sweden and reinvested the capital in new businesses. And that has created an impressive environment of innovation. If you look at Linköping here, where the city where we're now, 20 years ago, it was a huge factory manufacturing mobile phones.
Okay.
Ericsson.
Okay, right.
So and who knows today that there was a company even called Ericsson that did mobile phones.
Yeah.
And that's only 20 years ago.
They were manufacturing phones here in Linköping.
Not that far, not from far where we are sitting now.
Okay.
And then of course that today all the phones are manufactured in China by Foxconn and so forth.
Yeah.
But those people, they are working in another tech industry. And in the city alone, you have several global software companies.
Yeah.
We manufacture the fighter jet JAS Gripen, which is extremely complex product. We have Väderstad and so forth. So lots of companies that are growing out, and we are extremely dependent in Sweden to work in the global and international arena. And that's something that has helped Sweden because as the international markets and globalization has developed, then the Swedes have been there to reap those positive benefits.
Linköping specifically has for the size of it and for everything for what it is, it has very high number of international collaborations and also a lot of tech companies, coming up, right? Is there anything special about Linköping that makes it shine better than some of the other cities?
But you have the university.
University, that's a big
so kind of infused a lot of competency.
Yeah.
But you also have other cities in Sweden that are. I mean, in Sweden you have 3 large cities. You have Stockholm, Göteborg, and Malmö. But you also have Linköping. You also have Västerås. You also partly have Växjö, Uppsala, and so forth. So even the mid cities are extremely well advanced in terms of skills.
Why do you stay in Linköping?
Family.
Okay.
Family matters, and
You grew up in Linköping throughout, right?
I moved here when I started to study 20 plus years ago, and then I remained here.
Okay.
I want to be close to my family.
Okay.
They live here.
Okay, that makes sense.
And today it doesn't matter. It's like one day I'm traveling to Stockholm, and the second day I'm in Copenhagen, then Norway, then wherever the path takes me. It works. And with all the Google Meets and Teams, the border has shrinked even more.
Yeah. Do you see a difference in meeting people online and meeting people in person?
Of course. Of course, it's a huge difference.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because I think during COVID, we all thought the business travel is going to stop and everybody's going to do Zoom calls instead. But looks like, there is an element of humanity that you can't really replace.
Absolutely. And I think, of course, there are benefits of online meetings and this kind of things. And I have to admit that I probably in the past took some really unnecessary physical meetings.
Yeah.
But without said, it's you cannot replace the physical aspect of meeting your colleagues or business partners.
it's that human aspect. Because I also keep thinking, why? Because I really love meeting people in person, business partners to customers to friends. And I know virtual is efficient sometimes, but there's something that's very special about meeting people.
I think being efficient and being effective is different
Very
things.
different.
So I think, of course, the meetings are very efficient.
Is it because humans are built that way, or what is that? I mean, you talk the same thing, right, on a Zoom call, just that we are just through a screen.
Yeah, but I think you can. I mean, how many people are really logged into the meeting? If you have 10 people in the meeting, just to make it easy for sake of calculation, how many are really logged into the meetings?
Yeah.
And so it's I think that I mean, for those routine updates and it makes big sense for shorter introductions, so forth. But for the big decisions, for the deeper analysis, it's yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that makes sense. I sometimes think it's something that comes from our human experience, from the gene. Like we were in the forest hunting and gathering, right? So I don't know whether there is something that's deeply entrenched in us that makes us enjoy real human connection, because that resembles probably hunting together, or I don't know. I sometimes
I know.
think.
I think that there are so many theories and lots of people. I mean, today it's very difficult, but even here it's about being a little bit courageous. Of course, people should have these hybrid environments, but we have to realize that people working all the way from home all the time, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I believe of course you can, if you are a top person that they are very experienced, but if you want to build something great, large and long lasting, people need to meet. People need to collaborate, and it has also, I mean, in the past there was these ideas of open spaces and everything. I think we really need to consider the future working space, because today's you have the Slacks, you have the communication, it's very far, and it takes some imagination, and it takes some courage to set the boundaries on how you want to run your business.
Right. I'm going to turn on the light because I think it might get a little darker.
Yeah.
Let me see. This one?
Yeah, you can regulate it if you want to.
That's all right. We are just gonna look very golding. Suddenly we are gonna look very gold, but yeah, this is not our real faces. Do you want to retire at some point?
I hope so.
Would you like to? What would you do when you retire?
Alagan, I have a strange dream. I think we have spoken about that, but when I retire, I want to take my wife, and I want us to start a school somewhere in a development country. So I want to spend my time starting a school.
Tell me more. What do you mean by a school?
I don't know what country would need that, but I hope that I can take my part of my fortune.
Yeah.
At the time and spend my last decade or so in a country that I would like to do a family foundation that kind of starts a school. So I would like to follow one generation for 8 years.
Wow.
And put that in the country. I think that's the best way to make a difference.
That would be amazing.
So I hope my retirement will be following. I don't know how many people that will be, but that's my dream.
Not a lot of people think that long term, because if you can follow a kid for like 8 years or something, like you say, you can almost always, as long as they are committed and their family is committed to learning, the pursuit of learning, you can really change somebody's life.
Yes, and if you change 100 people in a country, then it will make a difference.
We are doing that on a smaller scale for just 1 year. So because when we started Rootcode Foundation, we didn't want to go and teach for a day and come back and take pictures and forget about it. We wanted to choose a school that really deserves and go there every other week, every other Saturday. A team of ours go there, sit down with the students and teach them, show them computers. And now it's about 10 months, and I'm already seeing unbelievable transformation. And I don't think we would have achieved this level of transformation if he had just gone a few times and then just come back. There's something magical that happens with consistency when you keep doing that. And they build habits. We help them build really good, habits, and also they become more confident. Because these kids are from a tiny, tiny village, and they don't even go to the city school. They could go to the city school. They don't have the logistics to get there. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I love doing that. And if you can do that for 8 years, 10 years, my God, that's going to change everything.
Well, my father was grown up in a small village in former Yugoslavia, and the family were peasants, so they lived outside the city. And the first person, there were 8 children in the family. The first person went and studied, and that person raised an entire family.
Wow.
They eventually moved to the city, and then 3 or 4 of the family members got educated at different university levels.
Wow.
Today, that family has, I think, 3 professors, countless of doctors.
Yeah.
Myself moved to Sweden because of war, but still I got educated here in Sweden. And I think that's kind of, we've come very far, and I have relatives in London, I have relatives in Australia, United States, and so forth. And everything started with the guy taking a university degree and lifting up an entire family to the next level. And I think that's kind of, and my father, when he went to school, I think it was 12 kilometers of walking.
Wow.
And again, logistics. Imagine former Yugoslavia directly after the Second World War. The conditions were not that
not at all. Yeah.
Not at all. So I think, again, educating people, learning them how world works, and giving the right tools, they will fix the rest. Again, finding the right people and giving them the right foundation.
Yeah. And one person can just change the trajectory of a whole family, even a whole village.
Absolutely. So that would be, again, speaking about legacy, that would be kind of, yes, retirement, but hopefully in that way. I hope I can keep my health and have the opportunity to do that.
Sometimes I think one of the reasons that we resonate with each other a lot as good friends is probably because of our background, similarity in the background. Because my grandparents are from a farmer's village, a tiny village, and then my father wanted to study, so he studied, he became a teacher. And my mom wanted to be a doctor, but then she fell in love with my dad, and then they had 5 kids, and then good luck becoming a doctor. But both my mom and dad, they were like commanders at home. Like there was no mercy if you don't study. So they helped us build. I mean, we used to hate them pushing us to study, but 5 boys, 5 brothers in the family. But because they really showed us the way and pushed us into studying, first generation ever, all of us are reasonably successful. Like doctors specializing in endocrinology, to a professor in America, to a psychologist, to journalist, to God knows what I'm trying to do with my life. But I think it's like the first generation of people who really became, somewhat meaningful in different countries around the world. And it all started with just 2 people, my mom and dad, really wanting kids to excel in something. So yeah, people can make huge impact.
Look at India. If you would told the British 100 years ago that out of the 10 largest companies in the United States, a certain amount of the CEOs would come from India, they would have been they would have been shocked.
Yeah, Microsoft, Google, Adobe, everything. Wow. Yeah.
So that's about these guys being very committed to education, striving for very ambitious goals. So it's impressive, and it's again about the education that they got in the generations.
I remember my dad did not respect money at all. I actually hated it to some extent. He would say, what is money? You can't do anything with money. Education and helping people is everything. So he used to say there are only two noble professions in the world. One is a teacher, one is a doctor. So I actually tried to become a doctor and failed.
Yeah. That's typical parents' ambitions.
Yeah, but yeah, it's unbelievable how you can change the trajectory of your kids and everything. Yeah, how is parenting?
Parenting.
I'm really looking forward to be a father one day, but you're doing really good.
I have again finding the right partner in life. It helps.
That is everything. Yeah.
So we try to instill some values at the core, and but it's spending time. But again, I've been blessed to have a fantastic wife that's really supportive of what we are doing together. So being two in parenting helps.
Absolutely. And how did you manage? Because how did you manage to instill like really deep values in, for example, Alvin? When I talk to him, he genuinely cares about the world. He genuinely appreciates, what we do with Rootcode Foundation. He says that, I think it was last year or the year before, I had a conversation here with the barbecue, and then he was telling that he wanted to become a successful entrepreneur, right? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, but why? Because I tried to ask this very difficult question, and people usually are stunned. They're like, oh, I don't know why I like it. I've seen a lot of adults not being able to answer. He so casually said, yeah, I want to be successful so that I can help more people. Where does it come from? Do you have a part to play?
I would like to hope so, but it's nothing that we have teach him. It's something that he learned himself.
By looking at?
Probably by looking at Leila and myself. I hope so. I would like to hope so.
Yeah. But he's also at the same time, it's not just about values. He's also very sharp, and he knows a lot. It's like talking to him is like talking to ChatGPT sometimes. He knows way too much for how old is he, 10?
At that time it was 10, yeah.
Now he's 12, right?
Yeah. He's growing.
Is there any hack into growing, raising very productive, knowledgeable kids?
No, I think he's very interested in what's happening. He likes to travel, and he's had the opportunity to travel a lot. And also we live in an international environment. Meeting you gives him perspectives. Meeting other companies, and also in this digital age, they learn fast.
Yeah,
and they learn a lot. So they are blessed to be receptive of lots of information, and that would be that dimension actually.
Great, right. Yeah, but it's absolutely fascinating to see him talk about things and stuff. Yeah, when I have kids, I'll come to you and I'll learn what exactly you are doing. That's making them.
Well, but it's also again the basics they do what their parents are doing, obviously.
Yeah.
But we have not teach him to be an entrepreneur. We have not teach him to dream about helping people. It's him that phrase it himself. So that's make me, of course, extremely proud.
Right. Okay. Now, we spoke about retiring at some point, right? Yeah. So when do you want to retire? Do you have a
I don't know, but if I could choose at 70 maybe,
70. Okay.
then I should start my school, and who knows the average age. I hope I keep my health. That's very important, but that would be it. But I don't believe in this old school retire at 65 or 60 or so forth. I see a lot of older people doing great work. So, and that eventually need to change because why should people get locked out of the being committed driven? You should continue as long as the health.
You have the energy
and health.
Yeah, because I'm really scared of retiring, because I think I'll be really bored if I don't have a purpose, and if I can't keep doing things, building things, I might be miserable. I'm scared. Or maybe I'll find a balance. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but retiring and retiring out of daily work, but being committed, I think it's different things.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you've been blessed with the opportunity to work in entrepreneurship and starting companies, I think it will be difficult to retire entirely. But it's a matter of health and well-being.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have been doing some fantastic work with the companies that you drive, and also the investments that you make and the goals that you have. So wish you good luck, and hopefully when we retire, we'll probably sit back somewhere in Sri Lanka and then have a...
Yeah, and Alagan, I'm telling my business associates, and it's a great that this is put on video, my vision about the school.
Yeah.
So I'm telling these guys that I will call them for some funding in a distant future.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think when all of us are more and more successful, I think we could do a lot more together. And I'm really looking forward as well to do our thing, and also to contribute to everything that we do. Yeah.
Yep. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, but let's keep the retirement plans out of plans for at least some more years.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else that you would like to note? Any other interesting thoughts that you have been having lately?
No, I couldn't help reflect the other day about the Rootcode Connect, where we had a guy like you growing up on the conditions you grew up, coming to Linköping on the other side of the world, doing your first customer event with a lot of people, and reflecting that out of this city in the other part of the world, we almost have 2,000 Sri Lankese engineers working for companies in Linköping, and it felt natural. Everything was like smooth. Imagine how world has learned to cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see that, and then reflect on how collaboration and how humans that cooperate together, how much that can be achieved. So that's kind of the reflection of the week, that the world has really come far.
Yeah.
Because it's a very dystopic environment at the moment. There are lots of wars, lots of downturns, a lot of inflation, but we keep forgetting how far the world has come in technology and cooperation, collaboration, and it's actually amazing. So lots of things are going the right direction.
Yeah, I woke up the next day, because the Rootcode Connect day was so busy, right? I was just running here and there, I was talking to everybody. I didn't even take pictures there properly. I woke up the next day, and then I was just reflecting, like it's just magical. Like 5 years back, I wouldn't have even thought that we would be this successful in a complete different part of the world. And in Linköping, being able to organize a customer conference. The possibilities that can happen with life, and that you can actually get there. When you get there, it gives so much of hope to do so many other things in life and keep pushing. For me, at least, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's something we need to cherish, and something that we need to do more of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I was just telling people, like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That was
Yeah, I think it's not that simple, but I got the point.
but yeah, then thank you for all the support. I think you were the first person in Lynn Shopping to believe in us, and you had no reasons to believe in us. We were like 20 people at that time.
I know. It was, and I'm of course very happy that we made that decision in the midst of the pandemics. But it turned out to be one of the best decisions I took, and I had to say sorry to Mangala because I remember we were 20 people. That was very important because we really committed. And then when you hired Mangala, I remember the call we had, and I asked you, Alagan, will your company become big and boring and slow? And you said no.
Yeah.
And you really kept that promise.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And what I really like about Mangala is, despite his experience in enterprise and big organizations, he has always had that drive to build things from scratch and roll up his sleeves and get his hands dirty. And that combination is something that I always loved and looked up to. And I think that's helping us a lot.
And then again, we were spoken about that, and this speaking of Sweden, I think it has been, everything has been like this. So people have been a little bit spoiled. More than anybody else, software engineers, so the tech companies. So I think that and everybody believes that we went to Sri Lanka because of money, but that's not true. We went there to get access to competence, but also people with grit and passion.
Yeah.
Because if you look, it's difficult to find people with the right grit. And that's why I also believe that finding the right people is not finding people that only work for you in the company, but also find the right partners.
Yeah.
That can support you, and as you did the other way, go out and learn how to wash a car. That helps.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure that DNA is something that has proven to be successful for you. So. And nowadays I use your app every day, so that makes me proud.
Yeah, I'm very glad. And if not for that decision you took, giving us a chance back at the early stages of pandemic, we won't be sitting here in Lynn Shopping, and I'm forever grateful.
And I have to share that decision with a guy called Roger Laudon. You know him, and Alagan, it was like 3 weeks left in our until we had to make the decision. Then when we had the first call, and you overtook everybody with your team in the last 3 weeks, and we had spent like 4 months doing a pre-study. And it turned out to be an amazing decision for our company, and hopefully for the fortunes of your company as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a turnaround that we always needed, getting a customer like BRP, and having a long-term partnership and an entry into a beautiful city like Lynn Shopping. In multiple angles, it transformed us.
And you asked about courage, and in that occasion, of course, the company was really not ready to work with a partner. The investors, maybe they were not so convinced that we should go in a different part of the world or high resources. But I remember a specific call to Roger, and I asked him, and Roger is a highly skilled and very, very, very good person.
Yeah, he is.
Roger, will they fix it? Without a doubt, yes.
Really? He said that?
And I said, how come these guys, why are not the other companies performing the same way? Because they are not hungry enough. So again, finding courage, and that was a specific advice from Roger. So again, see new guys performing and asking people that you know have the right values and trust them. Paid off. And here we sit now, a couple of years later.
Yeah.
And also had the opportunity to work at Alagan, so and Woshapp and so forth. So it has proven to be a successful.
Yeah, and it has
journey.
changed the growth trajectory of our company, Rootcode. So
And it has added a lot of value to many of the companies in the city. So I'm quite sure that they would not been able to grow in the same trajectory as well without cooperating with you, actually.
I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that we are able to add value, and I think adding value would give value back to us in long terms, and that's happening. I can already see that. So that gives me more and more courage to go and add value and grow the organization. Yeah.
And, keep the growth DNA.
That's I
don't become big and evil.
Nah. Because I always say that there's no reason for us to be where we are now. We don't have investors. It's a bootstrapped company, profitable. There's no way, no connections. I grew up in Sri Lanka. I think it's people like you, opportunities that came our way, and of course us really relentlessly taking those opportunities and like working our ass off to
you know, Alagan, as I told you, you are the only company that I know that has more than 100 people that has no salespersons.
I am the sales department.
But your sales based on doing a great work and everybody else recommending you. So and I think that's kind of the best growth you can imagine.
I think so. And I'm learning. Let's see. Yeah. Thank you, Kujtim. Thank you for the time. It was fantastic sitting in your home in Linköping and talking about things on camera. And funny thing is, we don't have any videographers. We set it up by ourselves.
Let's see how it turns out.
I hope the video and the audio turns out good. Yeah. If not, we'll figure it out.
As always, great to have you here.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Let's go out for the dinner now and enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you,
everybody, for listening, and I'll see you at another episode of Tech After Work.